Hello from Kingfisher, Oklahoma. Today we're going to look at 6 things from 1 Samuel 20 and 21. First, David is fleeing because Saul wants him dead. But his best friend Jonathan, who's Saul's son, is still trying to help him. Sometimes friendship goes beyond the bounds of what you would think would happen. And this is a great friendship between David and Jonathan. 2, part of the reason this friendship is successful is because there's no iniquity. David did nothing wrong. Jonathan sees his father is just a little bit crazy right now, so he doesn't deserve the punishment that he's getting. So they make a plan to find out what Saul's true intent is. If this will pass and Saul's going to accept him back in, that's fine. If not, and Saul's intent is to kill David, they'll communicate. They come up with a system. You'll see. It's pretty interesting. 3, they find out that Saul is going to kill David. That is the first thing on his list. And this is true for quite some time. And David's just going to have to deal with it. So Jonathan, when he has a chance, communicates, says goodbye to David. David runs away. Now, I want you to remember, number 4, that David is the anointed king of Israel. God chose him to hold that post, but here he is running for his life. So have you ever been in the spot in your life where you feel like you're in the right place with God, but things are still going wrong? Well, you're in good company. Here's David. Let's put Job in there too. Let's put Daniel in there too. These men were in the right place, doing the right thing, but things were still going wrong. And sometimes God puts that in our life for various reasons. One, though, is that he is just making sure that we're still there, that we're going to be faithful in every circumstances. Sometimes life just throws curveballs at us. I think it's Psalms that says it rains on the, or maybe Proverbs, it rains on the righteous and unrighteous alike. Everybody experiences rain in their life. This metaphorical rain. Things are going to go wrong for you, and it's going to go good for bad people sometimes. That's just how it is. But our test is, will we be like David and remain faithful? Sometimes we stop being faithful early because we're just tired of doing it, and we miss that blessing at the end. David eventually will become king, but it's not going to happen on his timeline. It's going to happen on God's timeline. Number 5, David, who is on the run, he meets a priest and he's hungry. He's got guys who are hungry, and he meets this priest and says, do you have any bread? Well, you remember that we read that the priest had this consecrated bread, and it was for a specific purpose, not for the common man. They could not eat it, but the priest could. And so, but despite the misgivings of the priest, he allows David to take some of this bread. And that means he, the priest, is kind of reading God's intent of the law, the spirit of the law, not just the letter, for we know the letter kills, but the spirit brings life. So he allows him to take it. And actually, this little story, mark it, it's going to be a while, but it's going to come up again. It's going to be referenced in the New Testament. So Jesus is going to talk about it. So anyway, hang on to that one. A few months down the road, we'll bring it up again. After that, David runs away to Gath, and he pretends to be a crazy man. He's drooling, he's doing crazy stuff out there, and Gath, that's Philistines, those are the enemy. But I guess when you're hunted by your friends, maybe going to the enemy is the only choice. Maybe that's the rationale there. But he gets a little crazy there. And the Philistines take him in, and we're left on a cliffhanger. So let's jump into what we've got today. Chapter 20. David fled from Naioth in Ramah and came and said before Jonathan, what have I done? What's my iniquity? What's my sin before thy father, that he seeketh my life? And he said to him, God forbid, thou shalt not die. Behold, my father will do nothing, either great or small, that he will show it to me. And why should my father hide this thing from me? It is not so. David sware moreover, and said, Thy father certainly knoweth that I have found grace in thine eyes. And he saith, Let not Jonathan know of this, lest he be grieved. But truly, as the Lord liveth, and as my soul liveth, there is but a step between me and death. So David's really afraid. Then Jonathan said to David, Whatsoever thy soul desireth, I will do it for thee. And David said unto Jonathan, Behold, tomorrow is the new moon. I should not fail to sit with the king at meat. But let me go, that I may hide myself in the field the third day at even. If thy father at all miss me, then say, David earnestly asked leave of me, that he may run to Bethlehem his city, for there is a yearly sacrifice there for all the family. If he say thus, Well, it is well, thy servant have all the peace. But if he is very wroth, then be sure that evil is determined by him. Therefore thou shalt deal kindly with thy servant, for thou hast brought thy servant into a covenant of the Lord with thee, notwithstanding. If there be in me any iniquity, slay me thyself. For why shouldst thou bring thy father to me? Jonathan said, Far be it from me, for if I knew certainly that evil were determined by my father to come upon me, then would I not tell thee? Then said David to Jonathan, Who shall tell me? Or what if thy father answer thee roughly? Jonathan said to David, Come, let us go into the field. And they went into the field. And Jonathan said unto David, O Lord God of Israel, when I have sounded my father about tomorrow, any time, or the third day, and behold, if there be good towards David, then I send not out to thee and show it to thee. The Lord do so much more to Jonathan. But if it please my father to do thee evil, then I will show it to thee, and send thee away, that thou may goest in peace, and the Lord be with thee. And as he hath been with my father. And thou shalt not only a while live, I will show thee kindness of the Lord, that I die not. But also thou shalt not be cut off from thy kindness from my house forever. No, not when the Lord hath cut off the enemies of David, every one from the face of the earth. So Jonathan made a covenant with the house of David, saying, Let the Lord require it at the hand of David's enemies. So basically the deal is this. If Saul is happy with David and it's going to be fine, they'll just bring him back in. If he's angry and plans to kill David, then Jonathan will know about it. And he says, But if I do this for you, please remember my family later. When you become king and cut off my family from the royal throne, just be kind to my family. So they make a deal. Jonathan caused David to swear again because he loved him, for he loved him as his own soul. Then Jonathan said to David, Tomorrow is the new moon, and thou shalt be missed, because the seat will be empty. And when thou hast stayed 3 days, then thou shalt go down quickly, come to the place where thou didst hide myself when the business was at hand, and thou shalt remain by the stone, Ezel. And I will shoot 3 arrows on the side thereof, as though I shot at a mark. And behold, I will send a lad, saying, Go and find the arrows. If I say expressly to the lad, Behold, the arrows are on this side of thee, take them, and come thou, for there is peace to thee, and no hurt, as the Lord liveth. But if I say to the young man, Behold, the arrows are beyond thee, go thy way, for the Lord has sent thee away. And as touching the matter which thou hast spoken of, behold, the Lord be between thee and me forever. So we'll still be friends. So David hid himself in the field, and the new moon was come. The king sat down to eat meat. The king sat on his seat as at other times, even upon the seat by the wall. And Jonathan arose, and Abner sat by Saul's side, and David's place was empty. Nevertheless, Saul spake not anything that day, for he thought, Something hath befallen him, or he's not clean. Surely he's not clean. And it came to pass on the morrow, which was the 2nd day of the month, that David's place was empty. Saul said unto Jonathan his son, Wherefore cometh not the son of Jesse to me, neither yesterday nor today? Jonathan answered Saul, David earnestly asked leave of me to go to Bethlehem. And he said, Let me go, I pray thee, for our family hath a sacrifice in the city, and my brother, he hath commanded me to be there. And now, if I found favor in thine eyes, let me get away, I pray thee, and see my brethren. Therefore he cometh not to the king's table. Then Saul's anger was kindled against Jonathan, and he said to him, Thou son of a perverse, rebellious woman, do not I know that thou hast chosen this son of Jesse to thine own confusion, and to the confusion of thy mother's nakedness. For as long as the son of Jesse liveth on this ground, thou shalt not be established, nor thy kingdom. Wherefore, send thou and fetch him to me, for he will surely die. So, you're ashamed to your mom, you're ashamed to me, you're ashamed to yourself, who should be seated on the throne. Let's kill him and be rid of this problem. And Jonathan answered Saul and said to his father, Wherefore shall he be slain? What have he done? And Saul cast a javelin at him to smite him, whereby, this is one of my favorite lines. It's just so unnecessary, but it's funny. There it is. I mean, it's not unnecessary. It's scripture, but Saul cast a javelin at him to smite him, whereby Jonathan knew it was determined his father would slay David. He's angry, you think? I've never had my father cast a javelin at me. Thank you, Dad, for not doing that. But if he did, I'd know, yeah, he's pretty upset. So Jonathan arose from the table in fierce anger and did eat no meat the second day of the month, for he was grieved for David, because his father had done him shame. And it came to pass in the morning that Jonathan went out to the field at the time appointed with David, and a little lad with him. And he said unto the lad, Run, find now the arrows which I shoot. And as the lad ran, he shot the arrow behind him. And when the lad was come to the place where the arrow, which Jonathan had shot, Jonathan said, Is not the arrow behind thee? That was the signal. Saul wants you dead. And Jonathan cried after the lad, Make speed, haste, stay not. And Jonathan's lad gathered the arrows and came to his master, but the lad didn't know anything. Only Jonathan and David knew the matter. And Jonathan gave the artillery to the lad and said, Go, carry them to the city. And as soon as the lad was gone, David rose out of the place toward the south and fell on his face to the ground and bowed 3 times. They kissed one another and wept with one another until David exceeded. And Jonathan said to David, Go in peace, for as much as we have sworn both of us in the name of the Lord, saying, The Lord be between me and thee, and between my seed and thy seed forever. He arose and departed, and Jonathan went into the city. Sad parting. Chapter 21. And David came to Nob, to Ahimelech the priest, and Ahimelech was afraid at the meeting of David, saying, Why art thou alone, and no man with thee? David said to Ahimelech, The king hath commanded me on a business, and hath said unto me, Let no man know anything of the business where I send thee, and what I have commanded thee, and I have appointed my servants to such and such a place. Now that's a downright lie. That's not what happened. He's afraid. So, David, not perfect. Now therefore, what is under thine hand? Give me 5 loaves of bread in mine hand, or what there is present. And the priest answered and said, There is no common bread in mine hand. There is only the hallowed bread. Remember, they used to put fresh bread every day in front of, in the tabernacle for God. If the young men have kept themselves at least from women. And David answered the priest and said, Of truth, women have been kept for us for about 3 days since I came out. And the vessels of the young men are holy, and the bread is in the manner of common, yea, though it were sanctified this day in the vessel. So the priest gave him hallowed bread, for there was no bread but the show bread, which was taken before the Lord, to put hot bread in the day when it was taken away. Now a certain man of the servants of Saul was there, detained before the Lord. His name was Doeg the Edomite. He's going to be a problem. The chiefest of the herdmen belonged to Saul. And David said unto Ahimelech, And is there not here under thine hand a spear or sword? For I have neither brought my sword nor weapons with me, because the king's business required haste. The priest said, The sword of Goliath the Philistine, whom thou slewest in the valley of Elah, behold, it's here, wrapped in a cloth behind the ephod. If thou wilt take it, for there is no other save that. And David said, There is none like that, give it to me. And David arose and fled that day for fear of Saul, went to Achish, the king of Gath. And the servants of Achish said unto him, Is this not David, the king of the land? Did they not sing to one another of him in dances, saying, Saul hath slain his thousands, and David his 10,000s? Yeah, you would think they wouldn't want him there. He just defeated their guy, Goliath. And David laid up these words in his heart and was sore afraid of Achish, the king of Gath. And he changed his behavior before them and feigned to be mad in their hands. He scrabbled on the doors of the gate, and he let spittle fall down into his beard. Then said Achish unto his servants, Lo, ye see the man is mad. Therefore, wherefore have you brought him to me? Have I need of madmen that you bring this fellow to play madman in my presence? Shall this fellow come into my house? And that's it. Little cliffhanger. But we will continue to see that God will keep David safe while he's promised him to be king, even though he's going to have several run-ins with Saul still. So, that's it for now. We'll catch you next time.